Welcome back, Times and newcomers. I'd like to apologize to State's Attorney. We're in the final trial of the game. Years worth of work is about to come to fruition. Let's continue. I don't know how much we have left, but I know there's not a lot. Let's hold a proper trial, shall we? Kristoph, Gavin, your testimony, please.
I'd be delighted.
The charges against you are quite severe, Mr. Gavin. You are suspected of the poisoning of the defendant, Vera Misham. Please testify on this matter to the court.
Owning the same nail polish does not a murderer make. I have been in solitary confinement for half a year. How could I poison her? Her father died of the same poisoning, the meaning of which should be clear. The prosecution's case holds. She poisoned her father, then attempted to poison herself. Surely you aren't going to suggest I was responsible for poisoning her father too?
Well, I'm afraid the defense's claim is sounding rather unlikely.
Naturally. For one, I don't even know the Mishams. Isn't that so, Mr. Justice?
Very well. Mr. Justice, begin your cross-examination. I'm accusing Kristoph Gavin, my ex-boss, but I know he poisoned the Mishams. The question is, when could he have done it? Not to mention why. Alright. Oh, we got a bracelet. Okay. And I think I know which one this is. Let's see if we can find it here. Ha! This reaction. This is fantastic. Let's do this. I remember this. You can't forget this reaction. Watch this. It's the freaking devil on his hand. It was you who killed Drew Misham.
A bluff worthy of your new mentor, Mr. Wright.
Oh, really? But you see, I saw it. Right when you said her father, too. Your hand tensed unnaturally, and a little devil appeared to give me the news.
And? Let's assume for the sake of argument that you saw me being tense. What does that mean? Are all tense witnesses guilty? And tell me, was Drew Misham fond of nail polish too?
Sorry, but there's more than one way to poison a man. You don't need nail polish to get to someone's mouth.
Then I must be very talented indeed. You see, Drew Misham was killed on October 6th. While I was already in my solitary confinement cell at Central Prison. If that's not an alibi, then I don't know what is.
But you found a way all the same. And I found it too. This is how you poison Mr. Misham. It's either going to be the stamp or the letter, so I'm going to try the letter first.
My. And here I thought you'd come so far.
Huh?
I admire how you, lacking any confidence whatsoever, choose to barrel on. Your defense lacks even a shred of elegance. Much like Phoenix Wright, come to think of it.
Okay, so, it's the stamp then, instead of the letter. You could have picked either of those for that, but hey, there's only one right answer in Phoenix Wright, so it's gonna be the stamp. Or the tiny frame. No, it's not the tiny frame either. Which one is it then? Okay, do we have the commemorative stamp? Yes, we do. Okay. I'm sure the commemorative stamp requires no introduction. You really could have presented all 3 of those pieces of evidence, so you can't really get me for losing at that point. Anyways, I'm sure the commemorative stamp requires no introduction. The night Mr. Misham died, he was seen writing a letter. A troquinine was found on the stamp, Mr. Gavin.
So, am I to understand this stamp was the murder weapon?
Yes, you are. Oh, and yes, this stamp was found in your prison cell. That is all, Your Honor. Order! 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 Poison on the back of that stamp? After Drew Misham was killed, someone paid a visit to this witness's cell. Phoenix Wright.
Daddy?
That's when he found the stamp. You made Drew Misham write you a letter. That's how you killed him.
What? My. You've upset my poor brother to the point of uselessness. Allow me to clarify this matter, Justice. All you need to do is recall witness Spark Russell's testimony.
Well, that's the thing, see. After he put his letter in that envelope, Mr. Misham sat there searching his desk drawer for something.
His desk drawer?
Yes, a stamp. A so-called postage stamp. End quote.
He was looking for a stamp. Ergo, he had no intention of using this stamp.
What are you getting at?
What I'm arriving at is that this commemorative stamp was in a frame. It was mere coincidence that he used it that night.
That would seem to be the case.
Or perhaps you mean to suggest that I can somehow manipulate coincidence?
He does have a point. How would this witness know if the victim was going to use that stamp? Without that, he couldn't have planned the murder. What?
Really, Klavier? You should be seen through these weak-spined bluffs by now.
He's right, though. How could anyone have known Mr. Misham would use that stamp that night? Least of all Kristoph Gavin locked away in his cell. Well, it seems that the defense has run out of things to say.
You assume he had something to say in the first place? I believe the defense bluff has been called.
The defense's bluff. I'm not sure I agree with you there, Kristoph.
Klavier?
Honestly, I wanted to believe you. But the defense wasn't trying to get away with a bluff. You were, Kristoph!
What are you saying? Prosecutor Gavin?
Air forehead. What was your accusation again?
Huh? Oh, it was that...
This poison stamp killed Drew Misham, yeah? To which my brother responded thusly: there was no way to know when Misham would use the stamp.
Yes, that's right, which is why it couldn't have been planned.
Tell me, it needs to be planned. Why? Why couldn't it have been a coincidence? The defense's case is simply that Drew Misham died by that stamp. That's all.
Coincidence?
Kristoph, you tried to slip out from under his accusation by changing the subject. If that's not bluffing, what is it?
What are you up to, Klavier?
I could ask you the same question, Kristoph.
I silenced the defense with the fewest words possible. It's called efficiency.
But Mr. Gavin, that's impermissible testimony.
Very well. I shall take his claim head on then. Justice.
What?
You accuse me of Drew Misham's murder, yes? Then, allow me to ask you. What possible reason could I have to kill a painter?
Apollo! Motive! He's talking about a motive!
Indeed. It's hard to see how an attorney could come to want to kill a painter. Now here's something. Why didn't he bring up the motive from the very beginning? Unless he was afraid it was a battle he might lose.
So, what does it mean?
It means there might be a weak spot. Maybe I have evidence to prove a motive. A motive for murder? This is vital, if not the most vital element in this case. Please consider this when making your statement.
I'd say it's about this vital.
That's pretty vital. Well, Mr. Justice? I'm going through with this no matter what. Understood, Your Honor? I'd like to present some evidence. Then, let's see what you have for us. What reason did Kristoph Gavin have for wanting to murder Drew Misham? The reason is... That is a hard one. What have not we presented? Do we present the letter here? Maybe that's what it is.
Bravo, Justice. The way you present erroneous evidence with such numbing lack of skill. To think changing mentors would cripple you so.
Allow me to present you with a numbing penalty. God dang it. So it's not the letter. What about the notebook page? Kristoph Gavin's motive becomes clear when we consider why the stamp came to Drew Misham's studio in the first place. And why was that? Forgery, Your Honor. Go back 7 years. Drew Misham accepts his first job creating forged evidence. I've seen that before. A page from a diary, wasn't it? Magnifique Grammary's diary.
Ah, when attorney Phoenix Wright lost his badge, yes. This was the evidence he presented to his loss.
This evidence is a fake, yes. But did Mr. Wright request the forgery be made? That was never proven.
The defense attorney on that case was Phoenix Wright. Who, other than him, drunk with the prospect of victory, could have done it? And why would they?
Just out of curiosity. Do you remember this letter? This is the first page. And this is the second. Those were presented in court yesterday. This letter was sent to Drew Misham by the client who requested that forgery. The enclosed stamp was none other than the poison commemorative stamp. Drew Misham drew his last breath just the other day. However, the motive for his murder was already 7 years old.
7 years old?
The client who requested this forgery was very cautious. He tried to erase anything and anyone with connections to the forgery, to keep them from talking? But he made a mistake.
The stamp was a picture of my favorite magicians, so I
Favorite
kept it.
magicians, huh? The killer's time bomb was delayed. The poison stamp was sealed within a glass frame, where it sat for 7 whole years.
Forehead. Do you understand what you're telling us? The one who schemed up the forged diary page was the one who poisoned the stamp. And it was Phoenix Wright who presented the forged evidence 7 years ago. Adding the two statements together, the one who schemed to kill Drew Misham was none other than Phoenix Wright.
sorry, but that's not how this is going to go down.
Oh? Then how will it, go down?
I checked through the records on that case when I found this. 7 years ago, just before the trial began.
Ow! Old boy! Here.
What's this?
I don't know. I just got it over there in the hall. They told me to give it to the old boy in the blue suit with the spiky hair.
And one more thing.
I'm sorry to have sprung this on you so suddenly.
I received the files from your previous attorney only yesterday.
I understand I am asking the impossible of you.
Yes, well, you haven't really told me what happened yet. All we did was play cards.
And that was enough.
Phoenix Wright was put on the case the day before the trial started. He didn't have time to request a forgery.
The day before?
Now here's a question. Just who was Shadi Enigmar's previous defense attorney?
No. This can't all be.
But it is all true. There was another man, a defense attorney with a badge on his collar. It was you, Kristoph, Gavin! Order, order, order! What is the meaning of this, witness? I mean, defendant, a former lawyer?
Let me begin by denying this.
It's easy enough to look up, Mr. Gavin.
And impossible to prove if you can't. Attorneys are registered with the court the day before the trial begins. In other words, no record remains in the court. How exactly do you intend to prove Phoenix Wright's claim?
That would be difficult. I'm afraid this line of inquiry won't yield.
Air forehead. Are you sure you don't have evidence?
What's wrong with Prosecutor Gavin? He looks clammy.
Evidence. Evidence that shows this man, Kristoph Gavin, requested that forgery 7 years ago.
Klavier?
Just prove it! Clear up these doubts now, or I swear, I'm off this case!
He must have thought of some evidence, Apollo!
Prosecutor Gavin looks like he's in physical pain. That darkness. I have to pull that darkness out of him, and proof is the only way I can. What proves Kristoph Gavin's link to Drew Misham? Well, Mr. Justice, you claim Kristoph Gavin requested a forgery of Drew Misham 7 years ago. Prove it! It can be proven.
Simply ridiculous. Why even discuss it? This evidence does not...
Are you telling the truth, Apollo Justice?
I am.
Then, I say we give him the benefit of the doubt.
Very well. But if you're wrong about this, be prepared for a penalty.
Your Honor, you do the defense an injustice. Mr. Justice is clearly passionate about his claim. Should the penalty not match his passion?
I haven't given a penalty like that in a long time. Well, Mr. Justice? Fine, Your Honor. All I have to prove is any kind of link. Something that ties Kristoph Gavin to Drew Misham. And I have something that clearly does the job. Very well, Mr. Justice. Present your evidence. Show us the link between our witness and Drew Misham. It's obviously the yellow letter, but if it's wrong, then I lose, so I have to save state here. Yellow letter! This evidence proves there is a link.
That Scrap of paper? I'm afraid I can't let you submit that.
Is there some problem?
There is. How could you possibly have that? You couldn't.
Hey, that's Daddy's handwriting!
Mr. Wright's handwriting? What is the meaning of this?
Ah, I see now. Yes, of course.
What do you mean, of course?
I just remembered I had a visitor yesterday. Phoenix Wright came to my cell, except I wasn't there.
Phoenix Wright.
When I returned, I saw he had something of mine in his possession. Of course, I had no intention of letting him get away with reading my private mail.
Mail? You mean this letter was in your cell?
No. However, it appears Mr. Wright has yet to be cured of his bad fortune habit.
Well, if it's a forgery, that's not a very good one. The handwriting's terrible. This is Mr. Wright's reproduction of what was written in the real letter. Reproduction? When Mr. Wright visited Kristoph Gavin's cell, he brought with him a small video camera.
What?
He recorded his entire conversation with you, Mr. Gavin, and the contents of your personal mail.
Huh? Regardless! This mockery of a piece of evidence will never be accepted by the court. Evidence based on a video a man with no authority whatsoever claims he took. A man who happens to be an ex-attorney suspected of forgery.
Prosecutor Gavin? Prosecutor Gavin?
As embarrassing as this is for me to say, I'm afraid my brother is incapable of making rational judgments at the moment. Your Honor, your decision, please.
The defense's claim is denied.
What?
Only actual evidence is permitted in a court of law. Please remove the defense's evidence from the record.
Better luck next time, Justice.
Well, we've certainly taken a detour from our cross-examination. But the defense appears to be lacking proof. I'm forced to end the cross-examination of Kristoph Gavin at this point.
Apollo! Do something!
I'm thinking, but without evidence, I don't have anything I could use on him. Very well. This ends the special witness's cross-examination.
The show's over, yet the crowd screams for more. Only now do I understand why.
Prosecutor Gavin?
Frankly, I'm relieved. This has been bothering me for 7 whole years. And I'm tired of the whole youthful angst scene. Now's our chance. Let's clean out the family closet, eh, Kristoph?
Klavier, you're spinning out of control. Calm yourself before you say something you'll regret.
Spinning out of whose control? Mine or yours?
Take a moment to consider everything you've built. Your reputation as a prosecutor, your fame with the masses. You could lose it all, Klavier.
Apollo, did you see that? He's trying to press Prosecutor Gavin.
Prosecutor Gavin, try to remember. What's really important to you?
You amuse me, Air Forehead. I couldn't forget what's really important to me, even if I tried. In fact, I haven't. Not even once. 7 years ago, Finally. You just couldn't resist, could you, Wright?
Resist what? Presenting solid evidence?
Might I request we put the current cross-examination on hold? The prosecution would like to call a new witness. State your name and occupation for the record.
I'm familiar with the trial. I've watched the video several times.
Didn't you find anything unnatural about it?
Unnatural? Well, you did seem unusually well prepared. I mean, Mr. Wright had only just presented his evidence. And the next moment you call in Drew Misham, it was almost as if...
Almost as if... what?
Funny. Didn't even occur to me to wonder. But now that I do, I see there's only one possible explanation. Almost as if, from the very beginning, you knew Mr. Wright was going to present that evidence. Ah!
Correct. I knew that if I applied the usual pressure, Phoenix Wright would eventually come up with that forged diary page.
Don't do this, Klavier.
I knew because you told me, Kristoph!
What?
It was the night before the trial.
Klavier.
Kristoph, not seeing you at the prosecutor's office the day before the trial.
Ah, I won't be appearing in the trial, actually.
Huh? But why not?
I won't be facing off with you on your first trial, apparently. But in exchange, I brought information.
Information?
The attorney who will be there in my place tomorrow is not to be trusted. Don't even give him the benefit of your respect. Listen. I want you to call in a special witness. Then...
I wondered about it at the time. How did Kristoph know so much?
Prosecutor Gavin.
Kristoph! We were supposed to face each other in that trial. A fair fight, brother to brother. I deserved that much. You let me borrow the victim's belongings. You showed me all your research on the case.
The victim's belongings?
Which would have included Magnify's diary, wouldn't it? Mr. Gavin?
My, Klavier. You disappoint me. You find trees, yet miss the forest.
You're the one missing the forest, Mr. Gavin.
You can't sweep this under the rug. Not anymore. Tell me what was going on behind that trial.
Why not? I achieved what I came here to do. I see no harm in a little reminiscing.
Apollo.
I think we're finally going to shine a light on the black belly of this thing, Trucy. And as much as I hate to do it, we have to do it next episode. Next episode of Apollo Justice. A year's work of worth comes to fruition, like I've said 5 million times, and this series comes to an end. See you guys for the final time of this series next time on Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney.